So I already filmed this bit, but there was coffee stuck in my invisible moustache, so we're having to do it again. It's fun being a mammal. Don't really know it's there until you drink something frothy, and I'm not shaving it though, it'll just come back worse. Anyway, good morning. I forgot what I was going to say. Yay. Oh yeah. I reckon 90% of this video is going to be voiceover. I've got a lot of tasks to do today, and a lot of those tasks are outside tasks, but there's heavy rain forecast on and off all day, and yeah, we're going to make use of the dry spells and work quickly. Probably not a lot of scope for dicking around talking to the camera, but I'll do what I can. Today I'm making a ton of antler keyrings and sprucing up a board to display them on, but I might not get that completely done today as I'm going stalking in the evening. A local fella fancies a roe for his freezer, but he doesn't shoot, so he's asked me to go and get him one off his land. It's a sheep farm that's dipped its toes in forestry. There's only like one clear fell and all the open ground's got woolly maggots on it, but we'll have a ratch and see if we can't find a buck. But before we do that, I'm shooting to get as many, but preferably all, of my keyrings made today. Here's some I prepared the other day. These are mostly roe, there's some red, but I've got more red antlers to cut up this morning and kind of sand off the rough edges. But all of these still need drilled, but we'll do that this afternoon, and then we'll kind of put the metal in them to make them into keyrings. But we'll do that once all the other antlers are caught up. I hope you can hear me okay. She's a touch windy out here and there's a lot going on. Someone's got a machine going, and just over there there's a really stressy horse that's been shouting for ages. So hopefully you can hear me. But we're sacrificing 5 red deer antlers to the cause. This one, it's got fair size in it. This one came from Assen. This one over here, another kind of decent sized one, Assen again. And this one, who's got a hood of a brow tine on it, that one came from the Cairngorms. When I was working there I found that one. This really nice wee one, which I feel is a shame to cut up, but it's got a lot of tines on it, so it's gonna have to go. And that's rum, by the way. And another one from Rum, my favourite one, which is Offie Peaty and Offie Dark. It's a stunning colour, and I'll make 4 out of that. But yeah, that's a very small percentage of the antlers that I'm actually hoarding. I would really like to make some bigger things out of antlers, but time is the issue more than anything. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm doing a wee stall on the first weekend of August. I'll be at the Moy County Fair, trading on the British Deer Society stand. So if you want to stop by, say hi, or have a blether about deer, I'll be there peddling my wares on both days. I'll be restocking my website with all the remaining stock the week after, but I'll post more information about that closer to the time. Now I know this is going to get repetitive, but I want to say thanks again for all your orders as of late. I'm probably going to end up saying that a lot on this channel, but it makes a big difference to my life, and I'm grateful. Last week I hit 70 orders since reopening back in April, and I've set myself a wee goal to reach 100 before I leave for Colorado this September. With what I've got coming, I reckon that's quite achievable, and I've put a wee sale on to help shift some old stock, which will run until I list the new stock. So if you want to check it out and pick up something cheap, there will be a link in the description of this video. Anyway, I took a lot more film for this video than I had stuff to say, so I put out a Q&A on Instagram because I can answer your questions on here in a lot more depth than I can over there. And well, I got a lot more questions than I anticipated, so we're going to answer as many as we can before I run out of film. First up, Whiskey and Milk asked, do you offer stalking/hunting in Scotland, or perhaps small talks on land and wildlife? So, unfortunately, I have no land permissions where I can take people out on guided stalks. The type of work I currently do just doesn't allow any scope for that. But in the future, I feel like I may like to go down the guiding route, or potentially even go back to a private estate. I always get genuine requests for guided stalks, so I pretty much come with a pre-built clientele, which would make me an asset to anyone offering recreational stalking, but it also kind of gives me the groundwork to maybe forge my own path in that field. That's all completely hypothetical. I don't know where my career is going to take me, and land permissions are hard to get without being minted. So to cut a long answer short, I can't currently do guided stalks, but hopefully one day it's something I can offer. I'd love to be able to do so. In the meantime, however, I can recommend people who do guided stalking. I don't do any talks as of yet. To be honest, the thought of public speaking makes my insides writhe.
but I'm hoping that's something I'll grow out of. That aside, I would quite like to do wild food workshops in the near future. I've not set any gears in motion for that yet, it's just another idea bouncing around my head, but maybe one day. Anonymous asked, when did you know this was a career/lifestyle you wanted? Is it possible for the average woman? So I've always wanted to work with wildlife and its conservation, but I was always told careers in conservation were for the rich and the very intelligent, and I ain't either. But after leaving high school at 17, I started to learn about how hunting and the various other land uses have a direct impact on our wildlife and our habitats, and how the people who work with the land have control over whether that impact is a positive one or a negative one. And as I found out more about it, I realised this could be the path for me. But it wasn't until my first placement in my first year of college that I absolutely knew I'd made the right choice. Hearing the red stags roar up close for the first time just made me realise that I want to spend the rest of my life with these things, and I haven't really looked back since. Becoming a deer stalker became the thing I wanted more than anything in the world, and I just kept pushing till I got in. But this is absolutely possible for any woman who wants to do it. I mean, I was a below average woman when I started. I came from a low income family, I was quite overweight, very unfit, I didn't drive, I was an incredibly anxious person, and I had zero connections in this industry. But I really wanted it, and I was willing to work for it. It wasn't easy, I was put down a lot by small-minded blokes, and my path was far from perfect. But I'm coming up for 7 years in this industry now, and in those years, I've gained more real-life deer experience than most of my naysayers. To any woman who wishes to pursue deer for a living, it is absolutely possible, but it's a hard industry to break into for anyone. Nepotism is rife, and it's made even harder if you're a woman. Accept that it's going to be difficult, work hard, and seek other women in this industry. Most of us are keen and willing to help you. Anonymous asked, you ever thought about tanning hides? 100%, absolutely, yes. I've dabbled. I want to offer deer and sheepskin rugs on my store, and I desperately want to try making borans, but I just do not currently have the space. I currently rent my home, and it's a very temporary situation as the owners wish to sell the house soon, so I can't take on long-term projects. As soon as I find myself more settled though, it'll be happening. Bobby13196 asked, what was your longest? Jeez, Sean Connery's back. Longest/hardest extraction. So I've led stubborn ponies for hours and miles in the pissing wet rain. I've dragged many a red stag, I've carried Sika stags and hinds out on my back, but nought compares to a 9 kilogram juvenile roe that I shot 45 yards from the road. It was out in the middle of what essentially was a massive brash pile, with lots of bramble growing on it, and it had been raining for days, so all the brash was as slick as snot. I knew it wasn't going to be pleasant, but I did not expect it to take me the best part of an hour to traverse. Turns out the brash had been piled up on top of massive wind blow, so every few yards there were 6 foot plus deep drops that had since become ponds, often concealed with brash and moss, so I didn't see them till it was too late. I ended up bollock deep in bloody cold water on a few occasions. Don't actually have bollocks, but you get the picture. Most of the trip was done balancing along tree trunks like balance beams, trying not to slip. And to top it off, I'd shot the deer at very last light, so navigating this in the grey dark with a shite head torch didn't exactly help. It wasn't my longest drag by a long shot, but it was certainly the most rage-inducing. Doulahan Guy asked, are you still working on that Scottish folklore book? Yeah, it's still ticking away in the background, still very much at the gathering research stage. I actually had quite a positive response from all the wee posters I put out, and reading through and following up kind of folk and links. Most of the folk that I've been recommended to talk to are old folk, so it requires meeting in person. So yeah, to do it justice, it's not something I want to rush. It could be years before it comes to fruition. Anonymous asked, what's the weirdest animal you've eaten? Fox. Don't do it. Tastes like piss smells. Anonymous asked, could you give tips on steps from hunting to food prep? Do you do guided hunting? Unfortunately, I can't do guided hunting, as explained in the first question, but in regards to food prep tips, it's getting to the time of year where I stock up my freezers and my pantry. I'm planning on doing a sort of combined video soon on how I break down a carcass, a bit of mushroom foraging, and how I store both meat and mushrooms long term. I'm no expert, I taught myself how to do it, and there will be better butchery videos out there, but I'm kind of approaching it more from the angle of this is how I get as many meals as possible out of a beast, rather than a look at my fancy cuts, because my cuts aren't very fancy. so stay tuned for that one. Tompst_shooting asked, if you could have one deer rifle for all UK species, which calibre would you choose? So right now, I only have a 7mm Rem mag and a 308. I am in the market for a 270, but my 7mm is my favourite rifle. It's what I use the most. Some say it may be overkill for the smaller deer, and there's validity to that. But if I was concerned about meat damage on the likes of muntjac or Chinese water deer, I'd just adjust my shot placement accordingly. A humane death is my priority above anything else. For the likes of Sika, I like using a calibre that knocks them down where they stand, so I'd probably just stick to it. But truth be told, other than the 7mm, I haven't used much else outside of the basic bitch calibers. 270, 308, 243, 223. I'd like to try some of the less common ones, but money and time are very real factors. Stevie Holbrook asked, if you could hunt anywhere, where would you want to go? If money wasn't a factor, Alaska for a grizzly bear, and then I'd die happy. Bighorn in Montana, I'd love to do that, but I'd like to just see Montana. Anything in New Zealand, as long as it was with the bow. Anything in Appalachia, I'd take a squirrel. I just want to go there. Quail in Patagonia, and I'd love to go and do all the US species of grouse. Gonna try for a few in Colorado this year with the bow. I just want to spend time in big mountains. Anonymous asked, best roll call. Last year I called a few in on the Easy Cow elk call. I like the diaphragm calls in general because they're hands-free, but I mostly just use the hand butalo call, I can never say that, butalo call, I don't know, the squidgy thing, because it's easy. Cool tip if you're a woman or a bloke with tits, put it in your cleavage for hands-free use. It sits on your sternum under your shirt and you can just push it there rather than ratcheting out a pocket and giving up a free hand. It's super handy if you're shooting off sticks or you're close and you don't want to make much in the way of movement. Right folks, I am out of film. Thank you for watching and thank you for your questions. I apologise that I didn't get to them all, but I might do a proper Q&A in the future if it's something you guys are interested in. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in the next one, whatever the next one may be.